Sixth Town Board meeting, please join us in the pledge. Councilwoman Ingerello.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Here.
Councilman McCarthy.
Here.
Councilwoman Noack.
Here.
Councilwoman Inzarella.
Here.
Councilman Loman.
Yes. Okay, before we start, this afternoon, we're very pleased to have our representatives from the 4th Precinct resuming our reports to the public. It met with great success, and we're very happy to have them back now that we hope COVID has subsided. I'll turn it over to Councilman Loman.
Yes, good afternoon. It's an honor today to welcome the commanding officer of the 4th Precinct, Inspector Dave Regina, and his executive, Deputy Inspector Dave Lawler. And they're going to provide us a little bit about what's been going on in the 4th Precinct, and certainly in the county. But I do want to hit a little bit on the inspector's background. Dave has over 29 years of law enforcement experience in both Suffolk County, the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. He's held various patrol assignments in Suffolk County in the community policing, supervisory assignments in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and now the 4th precincts, as well as the district commander and the Highway Patrol Bureau, where he was also the commanding officer. He's a graduate of State University of New York at Oneonta, as well as the FBI National Academy, and he's a member of the New York State ACOP Traffic Safety Committee. And Inspector, without any further ado, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Supervisor Warheim, the entire town board, thank you very much for having Dave and I. It's really a pleasure to be here today. When Councilman Loman mentioned this, and he said, and we all know that the world kind of went awry during COVID, but this is something that Dave and I look forward to. These are events that we really like to. We love to share with the community all the goings-on, whether good or bad, what's going on in the 4th Precinct, and everyone has the right to know what we're doing and how we're protecting the residents of the 4th Precinct. Before I go into anything, and I will take questions afterwards, I do have to acknowledge my executive officer and my partner at the precinct for almost 1 year, Deputy Inspector Dave Lawler. In probably about 3 weeks, Dave Lawler will be retiring after a 30-year career with the Suffolk County Police Department and a stellar 30-year career with the police department. He's held many positions within the department. Dave's got a bright future ahead of him. I'm going to miss him. We were a great team together over at the 4th Precinct. But we're going to say goodbye to Dave in the beginning of July. We'll miss him, but we wish him luck in his future endeavors.
All the
We
best,
wanna-
Dave.
We wish you well and thank you for your service to the community.
He looks too young to retire.
He is young, but he's got a bright future, and he got on young, and he's had a great career, and we are going to miss him. So I think I'll start by saying, hey, what's going on? How is, when you think of the police department, what's crime like within the boundaries of the 4th Precinct? And I think that really positive, year to date, I think we're doing well. Is it a little bit of a mixed bag? Yes. Our robberies are up. And when you go up by percentages, I'm always careful when I say percentages, because technically our robberies are up 33% year to date. But that's only going from 12 to 9. So we've had 12 robberies this year, but 7 of those robberies have been cleared by arrest. The cops in the precinct are doing a great job. And again, we don't want any violent crime, and robbery is obviously classified as a violent crime. 7 arrests, and several of these robbery incidents are actually shoplifting incidents that turned into robberies. Not that I'm excusing that, but we're more concerned if we have really pattern robberies or events that we really don't have a hold on. And I think we have a really good grasp on most of those robberies. I would say probably the most significant crime that we've had this year in the 4th Precinct has been the February robbery right over here of the Gold Mine Jewelers. That's a robbery that the police department and the 4 Squad is taking very seriously. I'm not going to go into the investigation. It's still a very active case. The fourth squad is working very hard on that case, and I really believe we are making headway. I hope that we come to a resolution, but I think everyone realizes that these cases are very complicated, a lot of different avenues, but that's probably the most serious crime and the most brazen violent crime that we've had in the precinct this year. But I think we are making headway with that. Our aggravated assaults are down. If we were here at this time last year, I'd be looking at everyone in this crowd and saying, our burglaries are up 400-500%. We had a bad year in '22 with burglaries, and I'm here to say today that both residential, commercial burglaries are down over 40%. Now, our larcenies are up about 4.9%, very small percentage. I attribute most of that to an increase in retail shoplifting and catalytic converter thefts. Now, our motor vehicle thefts are also up 10%. You might say, all right, 10%, but when you look at that, we're talking about 54 to 49. So we're talking 6 separate incidents year to date, and I'm taking these stats as of yesterday when we received our weekly stat report. And I will say to everyone that's here and everyone that's listening, no one wants their car stolen. I don't want anyone's car to get stolen. But one of the items that we've been really pushing, and this is department-wide, we've put this on our social media posts, I bring this up at every one of our community meetings. Please lock your cars. Please don't leave your key fobs in your car. We've had many, many car thefts, and I read the report when I come in the morning, and it's a key fob left in the car that's unlocked. We have very modern technology these days. People who are looking to steal your cars know when the mirrors are out, that means the car is unlocked, and there's a likelihood that the key fob is in. They take advantage of that. It's overnight. And we've also had some incidents where people have had their garage door openers in unlocked cars, and people have entered their garages while you're sleeping. So we're really pushing, please lock your cars. Please keep your key fobs away from the front door, out of range of your car. And another item that it frustrates me as a police officer, and no one has the right to be victimized. No one has a right to go on your property and steal your car, steal your property. That is not what we're saying at all, but we have to make ourselves hard targets. Please don't leave your wallet in your car. Please don't leave expensive electronic equipment in your car. If someone were to break in my car, I'm a lifelong resident of the 4th Precinct. I still live in the 4th Precinct. I care about the 4th Precinct. My family's here. I sleep in the 4th Precinct every night. If someone were to get into my car at night, they might get some papers, some pens, or my USB charger for my cell phone. I make sure not to leave any valuables in my car. It's just a lesson that we are really trying to push at the precinct, and we push it at all of our community meetings. And I'll circle back a little when I said that probably our worst crime this year was the brazen robbery at the Gold Mine Jewelers. In March and in April, we also had a series of very problematic incidents, which really was on the front burner for Deputy Inspector Wooler and I. In March and April, we had a series of the ones that we know, about 6 rock-throwing incidents. They occurred on Town Line Road, on the border of Smithtown, Hopog, and on 111 in Smithtown. And we had a suspect at the time who was throwing rocks and/or a bottle at moving cars from his moving car. We had the incidents in March, and I'll be honest with you, we didn't really have too many leads on those. Then we had 2 very similar incidents in April, which we were able to develop some leads. And again, it was a fabulous collaboration between patrol, because some really good uniformed police work led to an arrest in this case, but collaboration with the 4th Squad detectives. And we were able to arrest a 19-year-old resident from Hopog, and he's charged with 2 of those incidents. About 3 weeks ago, we were able to charge his girlfriend after a further investigation by the 4th Squad detectives. So 2 suspects are in custody. Now, they haven't been charged with all those incidents. We believe they are probably linked to those. We can't prove that yet. It's still an ongoing investigation. So the 4th Squad has that case. But I will say this, I'll knock on wood, and I'm happy. So since that arrest, we have not had any further of those incidents, because 2 of those incidents were captured on videotape, and they were scary. Someone could have easily been killed. So that became an immediate top priority in the 4th Precinct. And it was an excellent collaboration between patrol and the detectives. And sometimes, for those of you that have been in police careers, sometimes the uniform guys and the patrol guys are at odds. Everyone came together on this case, and it was a successful resolution. So I'm really hoping that we put an end to that. Catalytic converters, I'll touch on slightly. That is in my opinion, a nationwide problem. It's clearly a Suffolk, Nassau County, New York City problem. And it's a tough problem for us to police. We are out there, we track these, we look for patterns. But these gentlemen that are prolific catalytic converter thieves, these groups, they are in and out from beneath your car in, within 1 or 2 minutes. That's how proficient they are in some of the surveillance that we have been able to detect. And let's face it, who has garages to garage all their cars? I know that's probably not realistic, hey, but if you can protect your car, if you can garage your car, Hondas seem to be the most prolific. I'm told that is because that's the ease of the access to where the catalytic converter is placed. So that is something that I would say is almost a daily struggle, not only in the 4th Precinct, but countywide. And I think the last issue I'll touch on in the 4th Precinct, and this has probably been for about over a year now, not only in the 4th Precinct, but the 4th Precinct has almost been ground zero. I would classify the 4th Precinct, the 3rd Precinct, and to a lesser extent our 1st Precinct, with what we refer to as illegal car gatherings, side shows, drag racing. It has really almost been a weekly battle in the 4th Precinct. I can't tell you exactly why, but the industrial park, several areas on 111, Rabbrough Drive, the overpass at the Long Island Expressway at 59 are some of the favorite spots for many of these car groups. And we have several, I would classify them as aggressive car groups. And they call it a takeover. And basically, they get into an intersection or a private parking lot. They love strip malls where Best Buys are, Targets are, on Vets Highway where the Hobby Lobby is, and Miller's Ale House. That is another one of their favorite spots. And we are talking of many times upwards of more than 500 vehicles, 500 cars pulling in mass. And they take over the parking lots, take over the intersections, and they do burnouts, drag racing, they call it drifting. It's dangerous behavior. We've been very successful here in the 4th Precinct with some of our operations. I think we've clearly curbed a lot of that activity. We had intelligence last Friday that these groups were going to be out. There was some intelligence that they were going to be on the Parkway attempting to shut down the Robert Moses Causeway. I notified the state police. They had that covered. And we were able to successfully coordinate with the 3rd Precinct and the 2nd Precinct. And they hit the 3rd Precinct that night. They hit the Best Buy on Brentwood Road in Bayshore. And it was a takeover with about 150 people. And the 3rd Precinct was able to make, with our assistance and the assistance of the 2nd Precinct, was able to make 2 arrests, seize 1 vehicle, and issue 64 summonses. So in my book, that's a success. Because on the same weekend, if you saw what happened in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, these groups shut down large sections of Philadelphia. They shut down I-95 in Philadelphia. The Pennsylvania State Police were involved in a fatal police-involved shooting with this. And I just received some video this morning where they trampled on several innocent citizens' cars. So I do have a message because I see a lot of these videos. I have an officer that's excellent with pulling these videos from social media. If anyone pulls up to one of these takeovers, please, my advice is do not drive into the intersection, turn around safely, and leave the area as quickly as possible. Because what we've seen is if you get trapped in these intersections, there is really no reservation about them jumping on your car and causing damage. It happened to a lady in Connecticut about 2 weekends ago. She was just driving and she was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So you're
And-
just driving and they block it with their cars?
Yes, Ms. Cinderella, yes, they'll block the whole intersection with the car. Unfortunately, back in October, it happened to one of our sergeants. and he had entered the intersection where the Long Island Expressway and the Ocean Avenue overpass at 59, and several youths jumped on his car and caused substantial damage. They're very aggressive, and they're very aggressive with the police. So if they're very aggressive with the police, they have absolutely no fear of the majority of the public. And they are aggressive, and we obviously have to handle these situations very carefully because they're all filming us, and we need to handle these situations appropriately. And they're difficult situations, and they require a tremendous amount of manpower. So if these incidents are going on, it's not as though all of our other 911 calls stop and we can take all of our resources and put these into it. We're making headway. The department's very concerned about these, and I think that we've made headway in the 4th precinct. Is it still almost a weekly worry? Yes, it is. But I think we made a lot of headway in these incidents, and we have to keep being progressive with this. I think really for me, I summed up everything. I will take questions. Those are really the major points that I thought of when I was asked to come here today. But I will, if anyone has any other questions or anything else, I will try my best. And if I can't answer it, I will get back to you, email you or phone you and try to answer. Yes.
And thank you for that presentation. That's excellent about the cars, and I had no idea about these groups of cars.
Yeah.
Not strictly 4th precinct problems, but you may or may not know the answer. I have a lot of my constituents saying to me, when they're driving on whether the Long Island Expressway or Betts Highway, as they're going by several cars, they're smelling whatever you call it, weed, marijuana, wafting from the windows of the cars that are going by. How does the precinct deal with, how do you stop someone? How do you determine if it's the driver that, I guess that's under the influence, right?
Ms. Nowak, it is a very good question. It's an excellent question. And as Mr. Loman said, I sit on the New York State Association of Chiefs of Police Traffic Safety Board. I just presented at the SLETS conference in Rochester I presented on drag racing, but they had a whole presentation on driving under the influence, especially with cannabis. We know that we're still kind of in the infancy of cannabis legalization in New York State, and cannabis is legal, and the police have to respect that. People have personal opinions by that. From a law enforcement standpoint, our concern is exactly what you said. Don't drive under the influence. Now, there is a statute, it's against the vehicle and traffic law to be smoking or using cannabis while driving on a public roadway. Very difficult to tackle. And marijuana impairments, and we could talk for hours about this, is difficult to enforce, more difficult than your traditional alcohol impairment and being intoxicated under the influence of alcohol. That's why the state has put forth numerous drug recognition expert courses. I believe New York State has over 400 DREs. That might not sound to be a lot for the state, but that's actually a tremendous amount. We have, I believe, 12 DREs, which stands for Drug Recognition Experts, in Suffolk County. They're predominantly assigned to the Highway Patrol Bureau. And someone might say, well, you only have 12? That's actually very good. I know people from all around the state, and there are some more rural counties where they have one certified DRE. They have to rely on the state police mainly to call in. So it is difficult. This is an ever-changing challenge to target marijuana impairment, driving under the influence, because as you know, all 50 states now, except for Utah, who has 0.05, the other 49 states are all at 0.08. Blood alcohol content is considered legally intoxicated. We have a per se limit. If you take a breathalyzer test and you blow that amount or over, you're going to get charged with driving while intoxicated. Marijuana is not measured like that, so it's difficult. We have to really articulate the impairments and articulate the driving. So I think it's going to take us a while for us as a law enforcement community and society to really come up to speed and tackle this, and hopefully we don't have some bad side effects with crashes.
Yeah, you could smell that as you go by. It's bad.
And you're right, but it is, I will say this, and I don't sit here as an expert on marijuana or cannabis, but I've sat through many many conferences, and this is a big topic at all of them, marijuana can now be used many different ways. Put in a vape pen, smoked traditionally, edibles. They have THC-induced seltzers, THC-induced beverages. Technology has really come that far, so it's very difficult when someone's in a car to say, are you using
Yeah.
THC, are you using cannabis at this time? It is probably a top priority for law enforcement in this state.
Thank you for answering that.
Inspector, I have one question. Where are we standing in relationship to overdoses in the fourth? I know for years, unfortunately, the fourth precinct was the leader in overdoses. Do we have any new stats on that?
We have 81 recorded overdoses for the year, 9 of those being fatalities.
Thank you.
And Councilman Lohman, it's just what you said, we're here in the fourth precinct.
Yeah.
It's a concern for society, obviously, with the rise in fentanyl, and it's a concern, and it hits every precinct. There's not one precinct in Suffolk County that's immune.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the audience for the inspector? Okay, Inspector, thank you very much for coming in.
Mr. Warren, can I just add one thing before I
Sure.
go? Just for anyone, I don't know if everyone here is Smithtown residents, but the fourth precinct holds our community meetings, the first Tuesday of every month. They are normally held at the Nesconset Library on Smithtown Boulevard. It's in the community room. They start at 7 o'clock at night. Tonight will be our last meeting before we take our summer hiatus. We do not have a July and an August meeting. And when we pick up in September, one of the things that we were asked about by the community was that we spread the meetings out a little bit. So our September meeting will be at the Smithtown Library main branch on Main Street, 1 North Country Road, and the October meeting will be at the Kings Park Library, 1 Church Street. They're both going to be 7 o'clock. Dave and I encourage as many people to come out as possible. We go over a PowerPoint at every one of those meetings, and what we try to do is focus on what happened the month before. So tonight will be significant incidents and what we think is noteworthy that happened in May in the fourth precinct. So we encourage everyone to come out to those meetings once a month, except for July and August, first Tuesday, 7 o'clock. And we put that on our social media pages. We are on Instagram and Twitter, so you can find the fourth precinct at both Instagram and Twitter, and we try to put out road closures and any pertinent events on our social media pages. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Inspector.
Inspector. Thank you for the report.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Dave, have a great retirement. Well earned.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, and we wish you well.
Lots of luck.
Okay, we will move to site plans. We have 3 site plans. Mr. Trotter.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the Town Board. I'm Liam Trotta with the Planning Department, and we have 3 site plans to present to you this afternoon, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review. The first application is called West End Beach Street. The subject site is located on the northwest corner of Jericho Turnpike and Syracuse Boulevard in Comac, and the proposal is for the legalization of a 4,380 square foot outdoor storage area and proposed retaining walls with associated site work. This is the proposed site plan. There's an existing building, 2-story building with an apartment and office use. That's being maintained, no changes to that. The proposal is really for the back area, just as an outdoor storage area for a landscape business. And there will be a proposed retaining wall along the west side. Does the board have any questions on this proposal?
Any questions by the board?
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
The second application is Starbucks, 2061 Jericho Turnpike. And the subject site is located on the north side of Jericho Turnpike, east of Indian Head Road. And the proposal is for the demolition of an 8,000 square foot building and the construction of a 2,151 square foot food retail building with a drive-through and associated site work. This site is the old former Sleepy's Mattress Firm building, and it's right next to an existing Starbucks, and Starbucks plans to demo the existing building and then move next door once complete. And the applicant has agreed to 6 conditions, standard conditions of site plan approval. This is the proposed site plan. They did go to the Board of Zoning Appeals to allow parking in a residence district. It is a split zone piece of property, and that's really the only parking extensions for the bypass lane around the drive-through lanes. But there'll be a double queue, drive-through windows on the west side of the building, and there'll be one curb cut on Jericho Turnpike. That's the proposed architecture.
Where is the, when people order, because we had that problem in St. James on 25A all the time, where they're backed up into the road and down the road?
So going back to the site plan,
Because, the problem is, if they were told in the site plan to have 2 kiosks and you call into.
correct,
And they
yeah.
close off the one all the time, and the traffic's back down the road, with people getting rear-ended there all the time.
Yep, we tried to design this so it'll maximize the queue length. There is 16 cars for the drive-through queue. It's a double stacked queue with 2 menu boards, so it offers you 2 lanes and a bypass lane to go around it if anyone wants to jump off and go around. That way it eliminates as much possibility for backup.
Yeah, you really need that there.
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna demolish the current Starbucks and incorporate that into this site plan or no?
That's not part of this proposal.
It's
I
not.
don't believe there's any plans yet for the existing Starbucks building.
And just go back to it in St. James, I know we talk about it all the time, we keep going back to them, and they basically thumb their nose at us. We need to get involved in that, because there's gonna be a fatal accident there if we don't solve the problem.
Yeah, we can meet with those existing owners and
Yeah,
try to come
please
up with a
let me
better
know, and
solution.
we'll get the town attorney involved and myself.
Okay.
Any other questions by the board?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And the last site plan is the Stone Goat. The subject site is on the south side of North Country Road, east of Lake Avenue in St. James. It's the former St. James Public House Restaurant. And the proposals for 3 building additions totaling 693 square feet to an existing restaurant and a proposed change of use of a detached office building to a microbrewery with parking lot modifications and associated site work. So the building's just going to change ownership to a restaurant. They're proposing a sunroom off the north side of the building, a vestibule addition, and a freezer box on the south side. And they'll pave the parking lot. The middle, there's a detached building that was an office building. They're converting that to a microbrewery, and there'll be a patio around. This is the proposed sunroom addition to the front. The applicant has agreed to 4 conditions of site plan approval. Does the board have any questions?
Questions by the board?
The public house, that's gonna be where the public house was,
Correct, yeah.
but it'll be a restaurant?
Yep, the name of the restaurant
Because it's
is...
a brewery, they need a special,
No, they were proposing additions to the building and some slight site work modifications.
okay.
Are they gonna extend the front? That front's 25A, so that they're gonna be coming out where it used to be the walkthrough?
Correct.
The dining?
Maybe it's cool.
So off the front, they're proposing a sunroom, 1-story addition off the front. It's about 400 square feet,
Okay.
472. Still complies with front yard setbacks in the CB zoning district.
And what was that in front? Go back to the other picture.
Yep.
What is that in front? Is that like an outside?
So this is, it's a sunroom addition. It's just a glass.
That's an inside addition?
Yep.
Okay, thank
Mhm.
you.
Any other questions?
Okay, Mr. Trotter, thank you. Those site plans will be voted on at the end of the agenda.
Great, thank you.
Thanks very
Thank
much. Okay, we will move to the agenda. Deputy Clerk.
Okay, we have the building department report from April 2023. The St. Joseph's Church Carnival, August 17th and August 20th from 6 to 10, and August 18th and 19th from 6 to 11. St. Andrew's Lutheran Church German Festival, Saturday, September 16th, from 10 to 6, with a rain date of Saturday, September 23rd. And the last is the Comac Volunteer Ambulance Corps Run on Saturday, August 12th, from 8:30 until 12. There's 3 public hearings today, all regarding code amendments. The first is for proposed law, local law 2A23, amendments to chapter Town Code 7 entitled Off-Road Vehicles as it relates to informant. And Janice Hanson from the town attorney is here to explain.
Good afternoon, Supervisor and members of the board. The purpose of this hearing is for the board to consider amendments to Chapter TC 7 of the Town Code regarding the regulation of off-road vehicles. The amendments proposed are designed to bring the existing Town Code up to date with newly enacted county local law. And the main changes are the addition of language clarifying that individuals operating off-road vehicles within the town must stop or pull over when directed to do so by a police or peace officer, and that police and peace officers have the authority to impound an off-road vehicle in the event of a violation of any of the provisions of the chapter. In addition, the fees for redemption are increased to $1,000 for an ORV impounded for a violation of TC 7A, and $3,000 for an off-road vehicle impounded for a violation of TC 7B. And language is added providing that all off-road vehicles impounded be subject to reasonable and customary towing, maintenance, and daily storage fees in addition to the redemption fee. And finally, the penalties have been amended to a minimum fine of $500 and a maximum fine of $1,000 for a first violation, a minimum fine of $1,500 and a maximum fine of $3,000 for a second violation within a period of 5 years, and a fine of $7,500 and/or a term of imprisonment for up to 30 days for a third violation within a period of 5 years. That concludes my presentation, unless there are any questions.
Any questions by the board?
No, thank you.
No,
Is there
thank you.
anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard in this public hearing? Being none, I move to close.
Second.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
The next is regarding local law 2023, adding chapter 195 entitled Landscapers.
So, as the town clerk said, this is to consider the addition of a new chapter to the town code, chapter 195, entitled Landscapers. This proposed chapter would regulate commercial landscapers throughout the town of Smithtown. Specifically, landscapers would be required to register with the town by filing an application, along with valid license issued by Suffolk County and proof of comprehensive liability and property insurance, as well as workers' compensation and disability insurance. Application fees will be $50. Registered landscapers will receive a decal from the town that must be displayed on their trucks, and additional decals, if necessary, can be purchased for $5 each. The first application fee will be waived for landscapers who can provide receipts showing that they purchased 5 or more pieces of either electric or battery-powered landscaping equipment within the last year. And registrations will be valid for 1 year from April 1st until March 31st. Renewal fees will be $30 each year. And the proposed chapter also sets forth a number of regulations regarding the actual performance of landscaping within the town, which are designed to protect peace and safety of residents as well as environmental quality. And anyone violating the provisions of the chapter would be subject to a fine of $500 and/or imprisonment for 10 days for a first offense, $1,000 and/or imprisonment for 15 days for a second offense, and a fine of not less than $2,000 and/or imprisonment for 30 days for a third or subsequent offense. And the town board would have the authority to revoke or suspend any license issued for a good cause shown with notice and a hearing. Unless there are any questions, that concludes that public hearing.
I just have one, Counselor. The landscapers will also include tree cutting companies?
Yes, that's
They're
included as well.
in this as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions by the board?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this public hearing? There being none, I move to close.
Second.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
And the last public hearing is regarding local law 1223 to amend chapter 43 of the town code entitled Anti-Bias Task Force to change the title to Town of Smithtown Unity Council.
So the purpose of this hearing is for the board to consider the change of the name of the Anti-Bias Task Force to the Town of Smithtown Unity Council. And in addition to the name change, the codified purpose of the group would be expanded to also give the Unity Council the authority to plan and implement programs to promote intergroup harmony and foster respect and tolerance within the town, as well as to make recommendations to the town board to ensure that the rights of all Smithtown residents are protected and respected. The amendment would also provide that members of the Unity Council will have 1-year terms, and the chairperson or chairpersons will have a term of 2 years. So unless there are any questions from the board, that concludes that hearing.
Any questions by the board?
No.
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on this public hearing?
Yes.
Did you sign in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so Deputy Clerk, on this issue only, and you have 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. At the sound of the tone, you'll have 1 minute to conclude your statement.
The reason, John Donegan, 66 Fisher Road, Comac, New York. The reason I object to changing the name and adding anything with Unity is because I was a rape victim down in Nessaquak. And Mr. McCarthy, Mr. Warheimer, okay, I'm sure you know the person that was on the radar for many, many years. When you're a rape victim, what happens is that you get very emotionally triggered. And I see here that basically we have a brand, we have an excellent, okay, Town of Smithtown Neighborhood Watch, we have an excellent, okay, Town Council, but I have to basically oppose this and agree to disagree with Nico Gargiulo's idea. So that's where I'm at with that, and I thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is Richard Parker.
Hello. My name's Richard Parker. I reside at 6 Midvale Drive, Kings Park, New York. I've been honored to be a town board appointee on the Smithtown Anti-Bias Task Force since its inception in 1994. I'm a resident of Kings Park for 53 years. While Smithtown is a great place to live, it does have issues with bias and intolerance. I am also on the Suffolk County Interface Anti-Bias Task Force. At our monthly meetings, the Suffolk County Hate Crimes Unit reports on all hate crimes based on bias in all of Suffolk County. The data is further broken down by townships. In the past 3 months, there have been approximately 39 reported incidents, with 9 happening in Smithtown, approximately 20 to 25%. Additionally, if you would like, I can provide the incidents in the past number of years for Smithtown as well as all of Suffolk County. We do have a problem here in Smithtown. The Smithtown Anti-Bias Task Force has as its mission proactive responses as well as educational programs to unify all the people of Smithtown. Our program and efforts are directly related to educating and eliminating bias in Smithtown. I have no problem with the Unity Council, and changing the name seems kind of meaningless. However, I believe that it obfuscates the main mission of eliminating bias, hate, and intolerance. The present name defines the objective, eliminate bias. I therefore recommend that the existing task force be left as is, and if you believe that a Unity Council would help joining the people of Smithtown, separately form such a group. Please read the ABTF's mission statement, which I believe we provide to you multi-times per year, and the recent programs and accomplishments that we have provided, and leave the ABTF as it is, and it has been for 29 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
And William Holtz.
Good afternoon, Mr. Supervisor, members of the council. I join with Richard in terms of suggesting that it's not the name is not the important thing. It's really what is it tethered to, what is it addressing. And I know even within the county task force, they changed their names to the multi-faith, which sounds more aspirational, and perhaps Unity Council sounds more aspirational, but in some ways sounds a bit naive and a bit antiquated, because as Richard pointed out, there is bias. It is something that when we worked with the school districts, it was something that we had annual competitions in terms of addressing things like even bullying and marginalizing different groups. And so bias is an existing problem. If you want something to be more aspirational in name, then maybe call it something that we did with the school districts, and we created what we call bias-free zones. So if you want something that sounds more aspirational and positive than anti-bias, just come out and maybe have a committee saying, bias-free Smithtown. There's different ways of naming it and making it sound more aspirational, but at the same time recognizing that bias is a problem and it continues to be a problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have for that.
Okay, no one else wish to be heard on this public hearing?
On the public hearing?
I don't know, I filled out. For those of you who missed our booth at Smithtown Day, we were giving out chips and water. And we got 7 new volunteers who signed up to help us on Smithtown Day, very successful. I just want to leave that there for a second. Honorable Supervisor, council members, Town Board Liaison to the ABTF, Councilwoman Noack. I am grateful to the Town Board for having appointed me to chair the town's anti-bias task force in mid-2019, and I try to repay your trust in me every single day with the work I do. For those unfamiliar, the task force is a nonpartisan agency of the town, and the mission is to identify and respond to all forms of discrimination through a program of education, conversation, and support. Education is 90% of our work, because the hate crimes unit detectives have told us time and time again, education is the best way to reduce bias incidents. I have a list of the work we have done since we were appointed, and I'm proud to show it to anyone. I know the town board has already seen that. Over the past 3.5 years, we've been updating our materials and bringing in programs for students and the community. We've also been building relationships with community organizations such as the Faith Leaders, the school districts, the library, STAC, and others. Our goal is to involve as many people as possible. Last year, I was invited to speak at the Smithtown Rotary about the history and the work that the ABTF does. Ben Bizkors is a member of both the Rotary and the ABTF. He is a founding member of the ABTF, as is Richard Palker, who you just heard a few minutes ago. I did not know the origin of the ABTF, but Ben did. At that luncheon, he talked about how the night before Comac High School, there was a Comac High School graduation, there was horrific graffiti invoking bias at the high school. It was a hate crime. He and a group of others went to salvage the day, and the ABTF was born shortly after. I did not know this history. And I've lived in Smithtown since 1985. I just was busy with little ones, I guess. I didn't remember. But this is a history that we should all know and never forget, and I'm going to have Ben write it up so that we have it to post. I would respectfully ask that the town board consider keeping the ABTF name. We have a history going back to 1994. This history should not be erased. We are known in the community. Our logo, thanks to graphic designer Liz Wisniewski, is familiar, and people know to come to us with questions to help or for help. The press has been kind to us with positive publicity. We are proactively working within the community to bring educational programs and events to students and to the public. We are working with community groups to reach out to all. As I mentioned, we have 6 new volunteers as of Sunday. Except for Islip, which has a Unity Council, and Shelter Island, which has nothing, every other town has an ABTF. We understand that it indicates there is bias, but that's not only a Smithtown problem. I have a stack of reports from the Suffolk County PD Hate Crimes Unit showing it as a county-wide problem. It's not only us. We're all trying to fight this. It's something to be acknowledged and worked on and not swept under the rug. I am not opposed to the putting in the new verbiage for the mission within the code. And I am not opposed to a concurrent Unity Council to do a different type of work, but working together. These are my thoughts, and again, I think we should remember the history of how this started. Thank you for your time and for your support.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard on this public hearing? Being none, I will move to close.
Second.
Councilman Loman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack,
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
On consent agenda controller, number 1 to 11, there's one consent resolution and the minutes of 5:18.
Is there anyone on the board who wishes to remove any resolutions from the consent agenda?
No.
No, thank you.
Proceed.
Councilman Loman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy,
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Authorize the town clerk's office to advertise for requests for proposal 2344, State Environmental Quality Review Act Consulting Services, and 2362, an independent audit and accounting service. Councilman Loman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack.
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy.
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
The town board to issue a CEQA negative declaration determination for reasons stated in a memo from the Environmental Protection Director in the matter of the application for site plan approval by Land Design Associates for West End Beach Street LLC, in the application for site plan approval by 2061 Jericho Turnpike for Starbucks, and in the application for site plan approval for the Stone Goat on the south side of North Country Road and Lake Avenue. Councilman Loman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Award the following bids and authorize the purchase of associated goods or services. Bid 2349 for tree services to Reliable Tree Service, 2343 for plow blades and cutting edges to Chemung Supply Corp., Treyas Incorporated, and Volk Manufacturing, and 236 for Brookside Drive Rail Road Overpass Guard Rail Replacement to United Fence and Guardrail Corporation, and the last is 2360 for disposal of screen fill to B&B Maintenance Service. Councilman Loman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
The town board to approve the following. The first three are extensions of bid, 2267 for 10-wheel trucks with Trucks Incorporated, 2271 for maintenance and repair of physical systems with Miller Environmental Group, and 2157 for refuse removal from private properties with Waltraw Brothers. The Highway Department to purchase a wheel loader with bucket from All Island Equipment Corporation, and the Highway Department to purchase 2 6-wheel trucks from Long Island Freightliner. Extension of PIN 2254 for maintenance and repair of physical systems with Bensing Contracting. Amendment to the 2023 Highway Road Program to add Hill Road and Thompson Hill Road in St. James. An amendment to the 2023 agreement to spend town highway funds to purchase trucks and equipment. Ratification of the supervisor's execution of a master service agreement with Optimum Business to provide voice, internet, and data services to multiple locations within the town of Smithtown. Rename the town of Smithtown Office for People with Disability Advisory Board to the Town of Smithtown Disability Advisory Board effective immediately.
I'm going to move to table on the request of the town attorney's office.
Second that.
Councilman Loman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
To continue, removal of Disability Advisory Board members Liz Giordano, Wells B. Jones, John Lessard, Alexis Rogers, and Joan Vitale, effective June 6th. Adoption of amendments to Chapter 112 of the Town Code regarding elevator inspections. Extension of bid 2155 for traffic signal preemption material with traffic systems, and the adoption of the Nitrogen Smart Communities Pledge. Councilman Loman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
The town board to adopt proposed amendments to Chapter 322 zoning as it relates to nursery zones. Councilman Loman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Accept a donation from David Grossman for $100 to the animal shelter. Councilman Loman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Authorize the supervisor to execute the following resolutions on a form approved by the town attorney. A specialized service agreement with Movies in the Moonlight and the Recreation Department to retain moving screening services at Callahan Beach. Agreement with Landscape Structures to furnish and install playground equipment and surfacing at Callahan's Beach. Agreement for the Comptroller's Office to license budgeting software and procure related services from Keski Ltd. Amendment to the agreement with Computer Design and Integration, formerly known as Candoris Technologies, for network and infrastructure security services, and to modify the fee schedule and extend the term through May 31st, 2024. An agreement with Suffolk County Youth Bureau for Adaptive Sports and Socialization Program in the amount of $10,000 for operating expenses January 1st through December 31st, 2023. And a memorandum of understanding with the Village of Nissaquag and Head of the Harbor to apply for grant funding and cooperatively execute stormwater management measures at 9 locations within the Cordwood Path watershed. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
Approve settlement in the following matters per the recommendation of the town attorney. C.K. Collins, $5,056.06. Dana DeAndrea, $1,058.97. And Diane Davis, $682.36. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
On personnel, it's 1 to 4 as described on the agenda. Plus, there are 2 additional read-on resolutions. One is for a seasonal appointment in the Senior Citizens Department, and the other is a title and salary change for seasonal laborer in the Parks Department. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes. That concludes resolutions. We will now move to site plan review board to vote on site plans presented today.
Okay, the minutes approval from the site plan meeting of May 18th. And the 3 site plans, the first, to conditionally approve the site plan for the Starbucks, 2061 Jericho Turnpike, approve the site plan for West End Beach, and approve the site plan for Stone Goat, all described at the beginning of the meeting by Liam Trotter of our planning department. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes. That concludes site plan. We'll move to the public portion. Deputy Clerk, do we have anyone in the audience who can speak?
Yes.
Okay. Public portion, before we start, participation is subject to the rules of decorum, which you have on your speaker cards as per Town Code Section 76.7. Public portion is for town-related matters only. Any unsubstantiated, unverified, or material false information will be interrupted. 3-minute rule will be strictly enforced. When you hear the tone, you have 1 minute to complete your statement. Thank you very much.
Patrick Nguyen?
Good afternoon. Patrick Nguyen, 7 Osage Lane, Wisconsin. I've been working with a group of citizens known as New York Citizens Audit, working on some information regarding the New York State voter rolls. And I'd like to speak to you about an algorithm that has been discovered in the voter rolls over a period of research, over a period of 2 years from one of our researchers. We've been working with Andrew Paquette, PhD, a brilliant cyber intelligence expert. He discovered 4 hidden algorithms in New York State voter rolls. The algorithms found in the database Lynn County Voter Identification Number and State Board of Election Identification Number in such a way that they can be used as a 3rd identification number, which then could be used to clandestinely tag and track records of interest, such as phantom voters or clone voters. Every county official that Dr. Paquette spoke with about this subject had no idea that algorithms existed. These algorithms perform no security function and were not designed to optimize database performance. We are certain election fraud occurred. There is too much evidence to deny it with any credibility. Dr. Paquette's findings about New York's voter roll algorithms were recently peer-reviewed and published in a scientific journal, the Journal of Information Warfare. What is most significant about this peer-reviewed article is it proves that manipulation present in New York State voter database right now is a scientific fact. It provides an explanation of the inaccuracies and irregularities. It proves a total loss of control data breach, the most severe kind of data breach recognized by our federal government. The law says it renders the affected New York State voter database completely untrustworthy. We ask that you support our effort by signing the resolution for an audit today. Several town councils throughout New York State have supported this effort, understanding that we as citizens exercise our sovereign right, our sovereign opinion over government through our sacred elections. And when plausible doubts as to their accuracy are brought to our attention, it is our right and duty to call for an audit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Roy Reynolds?
Okay, it's good to be back. My name is Roy Reynolds from Brookhaven Town. The research done by New York Citizens Audit has raised quite a few questions about the voter rolls, which my friend Patrick had just outlined. These are questions that we as private citizens cannot answer, and they are probably best answered by the Suffolk County Board of Elections or New York State. But maybe you can help get us some answers. Okay, here's some of the questions that we have for the Suffolk County Board of Elections. Has Suffolk County Board of Elections investigated why there exist multiple New York State voter ID numbers for multiple Suffolk County residents? There should only be one per registrant. Has the Suffolk County Board of Elections canvassed the registrants with multiple New York State voter ID numbers? If so, what were the results? Does the Suffolk County Board of Elections know why the New York State voter database contains algorithms? Does the Suffolk County Board of Elections voter base contain algorithms on its own? Does the Suffolk County Board of Elections know who changed the vote counts originally reported by the New York State Board of Elections for the 2020 general election so they conform to New York State Secretary of State's reported count? Does the Suffolk County Board of Elections know why 4,066 registrants in Suffolk County were allowed to vote before the registration date? Does the Suffolk County Board of Elections know why the New York State Board of Elections database indicates that 176 people in Suffolk County voted without a residence address? Does the Suffolk County Board of Elections know why at least 31 people voted in Suffolk County who are older than the oldest known living resident of the United States? Does the Suffolk County Board of Elections know who has access to the New York State voter database and is capable of making changes to the data? For example, agencies, individuals, consultants. Who has access to the Suffolk County voter database and can make changes? Are there agencies, individuals, consultants that do that? Okay, we actually need your help to get these questions. The Board of Elections on the state and the county level have not been very cooperative with us, and we're having trouble getting answers to these questions. So if you would sign the resolution, that would give us a leg up on them, that we could maybe move this up the chain to either the county or to the state. That resolution being signed would be very helpful. If not, maybe there's something else you can do to help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Do we have a copy of those questions that you have?
No.
They may have been sent this morning.
Okay, if we don't have them, what I would suggest is you send them to the clerk, town clerk's office. We are in, you've been here before, which we know. We're in constant contact with our Suffolk County legislators, state and federal representatives through our town attorney's office to relay your message.
Appreciate it. That's all we can ask.
Okay.
And sign the resolution.
Thank you.
Tammy Topel?
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Tammy Topel. I live in Northport. The peer-reviewed article on the algorithms that my colleague Patrick mentioned when he first spoke, proves that the resolution is based on fact. It is not based on conjecture, supposition, or opinion. As he said, it proves the manipulation in the New York State voter base database, and it proves that the law renders the affected New York State voter database completely untrustworthy, quote unquote. It also proves that the New York Citizens Audit's research team's data is solid, reliable, and can be replicated. It proves that the New York State election officials certified provably inaccurate elections. They ignored the notification from the Citizens Audit team of the 2020 election irregularities and inaccuracies and proceeded to run and certify the 2022 election. This is against the black letter of law. So this is why we are asking you to support this resolution. It is our understanding that a sense resolution is an opinion resolution, and for the reasons, and especially because of the peer-reviewed article that has been published in a scientific magazine, periodical, and the information, the data has been replicated. You know, that is a scientific fact. And when you're doing research, if your data can be replicated, then it is valid. So that is why we believe this is a resolution based on fact, and that is why we are asking you to sign. And also, it is our understanding, and Mr. Town Attorney Jakubowski, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is our understanding that the sense resolutions are used at the federal level with the House of Representatives, Congress, Senate, and not at a local level. So if that's just a question that I have. In the research that I've done, I've found that information. And so can you speak to that?
Certain municipalities do sense resolutions. The town of Smithtown just simply has never done them.
Say that again?
The town of Smithtown has never done sense resolutions.
Okay. And this is not a sense resolution. This is a resolution. A sense resolution is a resolution based on opinion.
You're asking us to support your conclusions. That's a sense resolution.
That can be replicated in a study. Okay. Is there anything that we could do to help further or make you more comfortable with this resolution?
Well, just let me speak on behalf of the town board. We have no jurisdiction in these matters. That's why we referred it to our county representatives, our state, and our federal representatives to look into it. The town of Smithtown doesn't have jurisdiction over elections.
Okay. Just so you know, there are many other counties or town boards throughout New York State who are signing the resolution, whether they have jurisdiction or not. It just shows that you're supporting what we are asking for, what we the people, what your constituents are asking for. And then that just helps us moving up the line.
The time is run.
All right.
Okay, thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you.
William Holst? Stop, I'm sorry.
I just saw. Time's up, okay. I don't know if I could follow that one anyway. The resolution for the railroad overpass guard replacement. I know the Smithtown News back in 2017 had an article about the condition of that bridge and how it hadn't been painted in years. And I grew up right there. I mean, my grandmother lived right next to the trestle, and my family growing up lived next to the grandmother and aunt. The bridge was built, I think, like, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, so that would have been like the late 50s. And the MTA simply didn't paint it. And I complained in 2017 to Mitch Paley, who I think was the MTA representative at the time, And like I said, the Smithtown News did an article about the condition of the bridge, how rusty it was. And there's also a problem at the time with the St. James Railroad Station, because they had done a lot of work back in 96, 97, and they invested a lot of, state funds in terms of renovating that. But by 2017, they hadn't even been painting it. So there was woodwork that was falling off. There wasn't any paint. They did actually, after I spoke to Mitch, paint the St. James Railroad Station, but they did nothing on those rails. So I don't know what it is about the town having to assume things that I would think will be normally done by the MTA, but I got nowhere with Mitch that year. And I'm hoping that maybe there's some sort of communication between the town and state officials, so that the town is not picking up expenses that really should be part of the MTA budget or the state budget. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have nobody else.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to need, before we close out today, we're gonna need to go into executive session on an attorney-client matter. So I am going to have to ask everyone to leave the room. Thank you for attending. I wish you well, and be safe. Move to close executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I will also move to close the meeting.
Second.
Councilman Loman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Brown?
Yes. Thank you, everyone.